We need to soften it.
Let's sing Holy, Holy, Holy.
Feliz Navidad.
He's recording.
We're all Catholics now. Everybody back on a bus.
Really?
Okay, you can keep, you're not going to pan that part of the room?
I do it over again, Steve.
No, he's fine. It's fine. My videos are very laid back. Anyway, we are doing a video here on the 19th of December, 2012. This is the atrium at the Mary Horgan Center. And as you see, we have a nice fire going. There are actually 10 of us here, but 3 people do not want to be on camera tonight. They will be sharing at the end of the video. But the 7 of us will be sharing on camera. Steve is actually behind the camera, so you're not going to see him. You did. He waved. Very good, Steve. We're going to be talking about what we think the potentials are as far as changes in 2013 as a result of the awakening, the shift of the ages, whatever you want to call this 2012 Winter Solstice experience that is happening in 2 days from now. So we're going to let each person talk from their heart and whatever they would like to see happening or think will happen or what should happen, however they want to express it. We're going to start with Peter. He was in the last video, and we'll let him take it away.
Introduce yourself.
Hello again, I'm still Peter. We're supposed to talk about what we think or what we'd like to see happen. And of course, that's the evolution of mankind. What I would actually like to talk about is what I've been seeing a lot lately. What we know about the 21st is what people are talking about. And on one end, we have people saying it's the end of the world, it's the end of humanity. They talk about floods and tsunamis and earthquakes and tornadoes and floods and every kind of asteroids and meteors and every kind of destruction known to man. On the other hand, you have people talking about love and light and raising our vibration and raising our consciousness and humanity evolving. If this is not the ultimate perfect expression of duality, I don't know what is. What this gives us, well, let me back up a little bit. Let's get rid of destruction and the end of humanity as we know it. Let's get rid of love, light, and evolution. What we have left is energy. The energy of the central sun, the energy of the galactic alignment, an airplane. So what does that mean? It means that we have an opportunity. And our opportunity today is a choice of what we want to see. We create our reality with our thoughts. Our thoughts of today is our reality of tomorrow. So what do you want to see happen? Do you want to see destruction, or do you want to see humanity evolving? The choice is yours. I choose evolution. But there's another thing to consider. Knowing that we create our reality, is it more important what happens on the 21st or what we think today will happen on the 21st? If we create our reality with our thoughts, we should be careful of what we're thinking. Because you will get what you want. And can you imagine if this is nothing more than the universe's way of showing us duality at its finest? I mean, this is perfect. This is why we chose to come here at this time, to make this choice, to help humanity to evolve. So again, my choice is evolution, and I will see you all on the 22nd. Thank you.
My name is Jerry, and I've given a lot of thought about what might happen next year. And like so many people, I haven't a clue. So I'm not even going to try to guess what is going to happen next year. I suspect it'll be more of the same that we've seen in the past. I don't see any great, wonderful change happening. As a matter of fact, a trend that I have noticed is less idealism, less idealistic what-ifs, and more pragmatic, realistic, likely-to-bes. And I think likely-to-bes are much more important than a lot of evolution of mankind. That is such an open-ended category. Much of our community gets locked into terminology, into very broad, open-ended words like enlightenment. What a big word. The world is going to be filled with more light and more love. That's all wonderful. It's very poetic and very beautiful, but that's not boots on the ground. It's not feeding all the starving children in the world. It is not controlling the power of the arms dealers that are financing both sides of every war. That is more important than whether or not we're all going to be lifted up in a rapture or extraterrestrials are going to come down and pick us up. Quite frankly, folks, that is all a big middle-class, white, science fiction-based fantasy. We've got a world out there that is suffering, and we big fat Americans are sitting here on our asses, excuse me, spoiled up the you-know-what, and we're just talking about what's going to happen to the world in 2013. Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. More of the same unless we get out there and we try to feed the starving children. Unless we get out there and we try to help our own homeless, which we should not have any homeless in this country. We should not have any elderly that are without medical, and we should not have any people that are alone, desperate, hurting, suffering. Not because of some great, oh, the big sky opened up for us, because we are transformed here. And if we are transformed here, we will transform the world. And until that happens, until we're filled with real compassion, and we come to the realization that the world isn't going to change till we change it, I don't see it getting a lot better. But I, for one, make the promise that 2013 is going to be a year for boots on the ground for me, and I'm going to try to do something to make this world a better place personally. Whatever anyone else wants to do, that's their choice. I'm done.
Right on, brother.
You want to still how far are you now?
Who's next?
Hi, my name is Maria. I agree with what he said, and I think that I don't wish that for the 2013. I wish that last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. So hopefully, by the change of consciousness and change the mind and go to the heart, we are gonna feel that unity and the love that is gonna help everybody to do things together, to don't fight, to love each other and to care for each other. So that's what I think I would like to have, but I just want that happen tomorrow. Yesterday will be better. So that's the only thing that I can say for now.
For now.
Thank you.
So I'm Tony, and more on what Jerry had to say. And just since the last time we all met, and we came in with our preconceptions and our opinions and so on, for me a lot has changed in those last 30 days. And I'm seeing more and more awareness. The tragedy that we had in Connecticut has been a big eye-opener. We've had them before, but nobody even chose to put their boots on. Now you're starting to see people strap them up, and you're starting to hear people come out and really speak about the culture of violence in this country where we live, and the mental illness problem that we have. And so these things that we've all been kind of in tune with the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years is now becoming more mainstream. And I'm very hopeful that we do see more boots on the ground next year, and people starting to come together, making their own choices, saying that enough is enough, and start coming together, listening to people like Jerry and asking people like Jerry, so what are you doing? And how can I help? And how can I get involved? So it's about being kind to our brothers and sisters and making sure the tent is big enough for everybody. There's no requirement to get into the tent. Just come and we'll find something to do. You know, because there's plenty to go around. And we'll figure it out, even if we move in slow degrees to begin with. That's okay. We have to learn how to recreate or manifest in a whole new way now. And that's really what this whole opportunity is about. If we go dark and we lose our minds, hey, all the better. It'll be easier, you know, maybe for us to do it. We won't feel as confined or restricted or limited by rules and regulations and stuff like that anymore. We'll just be like my 2- and 3-year-old grandson, just says, I want that, and goes direct for that. Just like you saw the passion in Jerry speaking tonight. So, namaste.
We're going to Margie. We're skipping me.
Hello, I'm Margie. I feel a little inadequate in the brilliance of my speaking sometimes. And I don't know what's going to happen. I know that inside I feel a great excitement about what's going to happen. I listened to Jerry's passion, and I also heard a lot of shoulds, and I'm not a very big should person. I'm like, everybody's got to find their own, and I do think people are waking up. Is it fast enough for me? I'm kind of like Maria. I wish it happened 50 years ago. And when I settle into myself, I get the sense that it's all happening the way it's meant to happen. And what part do? I find more peace and comfort in myself, more compassion for myself. And when I find that compassion for myself, I have more compassion for everybody that I meet, every situation that I see. And for me, that is mine to do. Mine to do is to love whoever's standing in front of me, feed who's ever standing in front of me. If it moves my heart to want to start an organization to feed starving children, then that's mine to do. But if it's not in my heart, if that's not my wanting to do, then that's not mine to do. I'd like to see more balance between the sexes, and not one's more powerful than the other and a coming together in a united thing. So I think that might be mine to do, not feeding children. And if we all get in touch with what's inside of us and do what's mine to do, then won't it create a better world? So that's all I have to say. Thank you. And I mostly came because I like to be on the camera.
Steve, I'd like it if you went next.
I'm Steve Hart, and I appreciate everything that everybody has said. I have a little different point of view on some of this stuff, and so I want to share with you my perception about what's going to take place. And my feelings is that there is a tipping point that we've already reached, and that's what we're going to see happen. We're going to see the results of this tipping point. Now let me explain what I mean by that. I have this bottle right here, and I'm going to do something. I want you to watch what I'm going to do. Did you see that? See how I knocked it over? It just didn't tip it. I knocked it over with a great deal of force. But watch, I'm going to do it again, except this time I'm going to do it with my finger with very little energy, and the bottle falls over. Not near the amount of energy it took I did the first time, but it still fell over. And my point is, the tipping point means that it takes very little energy to make a major change in what's about to happen. And in the academic world, they call it the Pareto law, the 80-20 rule. So it takes a small amount of energy to change the whole. If you know anything about the story of the 100th monkey, the same thing. It only took 100 monkeys on the island before the whole island and other islands began to have this awareness. And I believe that we are experiencing this today in the collective consciousness, that there is a tipping point that's already happened. I feel the energy shift is already taking place in my life, and I'm already experiencing it. I don't think things are going to be the same as they were. Obviously, there's going to be a remnant of it. I mean, if the whole world changed so drastically, we wouldn't be able to survive consciously, be able to accept what is happening. But I think that we are going to see some major changes. We are going to begin to see, first thing, a huge shift in energy of love and healing. That's what this is all about. This is all about coming into the healing. And everything that everybody has been sharing about their desires and what they want to see is all about bringing that about. I would like to believe that's going to happen quicker than we would like to, that some people may be imagining, because I think that there's going to be something that's going to, the energy is going to be at a level where it's going to bring us into that. Like there's going to be like a waking up, like being asleep and all of a sudden waking up, you know, and you're, oh, it's another day, you know. And the secret behind it in my life has been gratitude and love. That has brought on everything I've desired, and I think that's what's going to bring this change in the world, because we're going to come into this new awakening, and more people are coming into it, and it's going to be almost like a rush of shifting. So we're going to see shifts that are going to be major in my mind, and hopefully just in a short amount of time. I don't know for sure, but it goes back to what some of the people have been sharing. It all goes back to what we want to do and how we want to open our hearts and our minds to what is truth. So there'll be a shift in values. I think a shift of what people think is more important, what's not more important. You know, we put so much value in our jobs and making a living and accumulating wealth, and I think that that's all going to change. I don't think that's going to be the same in the future. I think what's going to happen is we're going to be speaking from the heart instead of from the mind, and trying to build our own kingdoms. We're going to realize that it is all the kingdom of God, and we're all a part of that. So there's going to be a shift in the value system and the economic system. I think that's probably going to be the one thing that's really going to shake us up. We're going to see a huge shift in the economic system. And it's going to be enough that it's going to shake up a lot of people and bring down a lot of walls, a lot of idols that we have put our values into. So I think that that's one thing that's definitely going to happen. For those of you who are hanging on to your money or hold on to your wealth out here, they're going to suffer. But if you hang on to your wealth of who you are and what's within you and the gifts that you have to give, and you realize who you are, that you're not a victim out here of these things, but rather you have the power to create manifest, that is what we're going to be getting to experience. I think there's going to be an exposure of falsehood. I think in the midst of this light and love that's coming forth, that anything that's false and the dark is going to be exposed more quickly. I think we're going to see some of these conspiracy things come out in the open as to what was the truth behind these things. They have to happen before this love can, because they can't exist at the same time. Dark and light can't exist. When light comes in, the dark cannot resist it. We know that. Now, I shared with Ron, we talked earlier about this thing about duality, and there's a duality in the world. I agree that there's duality, and will always be a duality in the fact that in physical form. But the difference is our attachment to it.
Yes.
Duality will always be there. There'll always appear that there's battle going on. But what's happened is the shift will bring the fact that we will be able to detach from it because we realize it's not real. It is what helps create the physical form out of the invisible into the physical, but the fact is that we're not attached to it. So it's our attachment. If we want to be attached to the physical form, then yes, we're going to suffer, I think. But as we come loose, that's what this whole shift is about, is letting go of the physical form into the... So we're also going to find there's going to be new work, there's going to be new services, and there's going to be a new purpose that people are going to find in their lives, and there's going to be healing, physical healings. I think we're going to be seeing health cure, drugs, not drugs, but remedies to cures to different diseases and so forth that are probably already there waiting for us. And on top of that, new technologies that have been waiting in the curtains. I think we've been hearing things about some of the technologies being withheld from us for various reasons, for economics or maybe. I think those things are going to come forward, and we're going to see those things hopefully very soon. So and it's all because of this energy shift. That's the main thing, because of the energy shift. So that's what I see happening. I think the tipping point has already happened, and now we're going to see everything fall and open up and unfold exactly what it is we want. That's my bit.
Goodbye.
Steve, you gave me a really good lead-in. I've been watching a lot of Laura Eisenhower the last few days, and she has been extremely inspiring. For those of you that don't know, I thought she was the granddaughter, but she's the great-granddaughter of Ike Eisenhower, the president before Kennedy, the one that warned us of the military-industrial complex before he left office, when he was turning the reign of power over to JFK. I think that what she's doing has been extremely inspirational for me. I mean, she's an insider that's also a whistleblower and a tremendous spiritual warrior of returning the divine feminine, which I think is what's really going to categorize the shift that's happening, and it's going to show up in our actual world in 2013. We're going to see more feminine energy, more of a balancing between the masculine and feminine. It's going to open doors for peace that may not have been as readily available previously. Another person that I listened to today was very interesting, was Little Grandmother, Keisha Crowley, I think, or whatever her name is. I wish I remembered, and that might not be right, but it's something like that. But I've listened to her several times in the past, and she says, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to be happening. And then she went through a litany of tornadoes and hurricanes and tsunamis and earthquakes and violence, and she says, I guarantee you this is the truth. It's the absolute truth. She really threw a curveball at the end after she went through this really long litany of all these things that she says is going to happen. She says, it's not what's going to happen. These are actual headlines of what happened in 2011. And it blew my mind. And I thought back, she's right. She's absolutely right. I could remember then how the headlines of the things that actually took place in 2011, when that was the completion of the 9th wave according to the Mayan calendar. It ended in the 28th of October. And all of these changes, including the Occupy movement, all the worldwide demonstrations that started in January of that year, this was our history last year. Right now, we seem to have a continuation of that. As Jerry said, he doesn't see much happening unless we get boots on the ground. And I absolutely agree that we need to get boots on the ground. And I agree with Margie that the boots on the ground are going to look different for each of us, because we're not all cut out to do the same thing. My particular thing, like it or not, is to fight in the legal system and to help people retain their homes and to uncover the hypocrisy and the absolute fraud in the financial system. I agree with Steve that the socioeconomic thing has to change. If it doesn't change there, we're going to have a repeat of everything we've always experienced. The things that have been hidden have to come to the light, and I believe they will. What it's going to take, I don't know what's going to happen. As I've been saying the last couple of days on my videos, I don't know what it's going to look like, if anything is really going to significantly happen on this weekend, Friday through Sunday, the 3 days. I don't know if we're going to have 72 hours of darkness. It would be really interesting, as I think I said in one of my videos, if the Earth stopped cold and started spinning, after a few days started spinning in the opposite direction so that the sun rises in the west, which is an Islamic prophecy of the changes that are coming. There's lots of fascinating potentials, and that's the thing that we always have with the future. It's potentials, and it's based on what we do now, the changes that we're willing to grapple with now in our lives, facing the things, not hiding ourselves. We have to be willing to take a stand. We have to be willing to tell our truth and not be afraid. I mean, there's 3 people here, and I'm not trying to single any, you don't even know who they are, and that's okay. But people are afraid to even be on camera. Why do we have to live in a world where, for any reason, we need to be afraid to express ourselves? And afraid of who might see it? Now, I understand nervousness and stuff like that of being on camera, and I'm not nervous anymore. I do it every day. But I was initially, and I used to, when I first started doing my videos, sometimes it would take 3 or 4 takes because I would record it, and then I'd watch it, and wasn't happy with it, so I'd go back and I'd do it again. It's been a long time since I've even messed with, I mean, I watched them one time, I even put them up online before I watch it now. I don't edit anything, because it doesn't matter. I'm speaking from my heart. And I'd like to see a world in 2013 where everyone has a chance to speak his or her mind and to come out and to express the gifts and the dreams that are inside of us so that we can manifest them into reality. And it does take boots on the ground. It does take action. It does take actually loving people and being willing to be real, to be vulnerable. These are the things that are going to change our world. But the most important thing to me is the political, economic, and what's the other word that I'm looking for? The political, economic, and the business model of competition needs to change. And I think that the energies are going to definitely impact our world in those areas a great deal, because those are the areas where most of the fear is generated, most of the anxiety of just the stress of living life, chasing the dollar and chasing money and just trying to survive in a world of artificial construct. We're going to have to get down to what's more natural, what's more real, and of course what's sustainable. And now at this time, that's all I'm going to say for right now, but I am going to throw it open, and people that are not on camera will be able to ask questions or to make statements, but they will not be on camera. So you may hear somebody, and it'll just be a voice. So I throw it open to everyone to ask anybody questions or make any additional comments.
Moving over to the fireplace.
And Tony's going back because he likes to play with the fire.
You want to
I'd like to make another comment. As I listened to everyone, I realized how much I enjoy seeing people passionate. And I think that's what's going to happen, is we're going to start being more passionate for life, being more passionate for the things that we have. When Ron was talking about people being afraid to be on camera or uncomfortable being on camera, and I can remember when I used to love people for a living and it got me arrested. And lots of judgment and lots of upset. And I believe that I'll be able to love people, and if I want to make money at it, I can, and I won't be arrested. But that's one of my passions. And I just believe we're becoming a more passionate world. We'll become a less afraid world. I believe the more we're in our hearts, the more we're in love. It's hard to be competitive when I'm feeling love. I used to find it when I was feeling nothing but fear, it was so easy to be competitive. But when I'm feeling love, it's so hard to be competitive. And I believe as more love comes to the world, that these things will disintegrate of just because the love will take it over. And that will be part of our answers then. That's all I have. Thanks.
And I think also, with the transition that we're having now, and maybe, I don't know, for you guys, in the last few months, I'm cleaning a lot of garbage. And I'm feeling more peaceful, more love, and I can even connect better with anybody. And by doing that, your heart is open, and you find your real passion in life. It is you have one, you have another one, and we all come together to create a new world. Following your passion, and that's what they give you the strength to do anything, and the clarity, and you will have everything, because you already have it in here. That's how I feel.
A lot of the people I talk to say, Peter, it just seems so overwhelming. Where do we start? And for me, I started opening doors at convenience stores for anybody. Anybody that was around me, I would hold the door open for them. Or if I was driving down the street and somebody was trying to get out of the parking lot, I'd let them through. Some of the looks I got holding these doors open for people that were younger and healthier than I am was amazing. I mean, they smiled like they were getting this greatest gift. And if I can do that for 10 people, and if those 10 people can do 10 people, that's the start of a small change. It shows all of us that we're connected by something more than just being on this earth. When we go from intolerance to tolerance, we evolve. When we go from fear and hate to love, we evolve. Call it what you want. It's a place to start if you don't know where to start. People in business, they start doing this, we change the world. People in government start treating people with the respect that we all expect, we'll change the world. It is that simple. We just have to do the legwork. My favorite saying.
It's interesting, I'm going to come back on what Maria said, because after the camera stops tonight, we're actually going to do a releasing ceremony where we write down things that we want to release from our lives and we'd like to see released in the world at large. We're going to write them down and actually put them in the fire, which I forgot to mention in the introduction earlier. But we're actually going to be doing that as an exercise tonight. You won't see that on camera, but we're going to be participating in that, all 10 of us.
I was at a meeting the other night, and the question came up, what is it going to take to make this change? Because this person was saying, we know an awful lot of this information, but it's all in our heads. And when we go out and we live our lives, we don't always experience it in our everyday living. So how is it? What is it going to take for us to be able to experience this deep love, this forgiveness, the non-judgment, this opening up? What is it going to take?
Open your heart. That's it.
Practice.
Right, yes.
Practice, practice, practice.
When you start loving yourself and you really, for real, no, I love blah, 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 no, for real, and you have compassion to your own, that's it, you are open. Wherever you are, wherever you go, people start getting next to you and close to you because you are having that high vibration. And that's what it is, it's very simple. But you gotta start in your own self. Because you can lie to yourself, but you cannot lie to anybody else because you can feel it when somebody's lying to you, even if you put in the pretty face. But that's different. When you give a hug, you can feel it, if it's true or not. But by doing that, in my experience, you can see how people get to you. Say, oh, how nice be with Maria, or with the other person, that you bring the light. No, this is bringing the love. It's hard because you have to work in yourself and let it go and do things, but when you do, it's fun and it's good.
I think another thing you can do is look to the good in other people. And I mean, seriously, make an effort to see the good in other people and to engage the good in other people. My daughter Jenny has a favorite saying. She says, I don't care what people think about me, I'm just going to put myself out there. I'm just going to engage people and I'm going to talk to them in a positive way. I'm going to let them know that I care and that I have their greatest good in mind, even if it's with a small thing. And some people may think I'm goofy or may think I'm a little bit forward, but that doesn't bother me because it's not important to me what other people think of me. And I took that to heart because I wasn't sure that I had that same faith in other people, but I have been trying to practice that myself, and that has re-inspired me. And I now find myself having much more faith in other people. But I think you have to appeal to that. I think you have to look to the good in other people. That does require a lot of what Maria is talking about, being non-judgmental, which has to come from a non-judgmental sense of yourself, to look for the good in yourself and appreciate that. Not necessarily egotistically, but in terms of your innate goodness and innate spirit for your well-being and the well-being of others. Continually appeal to that, and I think your awareness will lead you to those circumstances, to those people where you're supposed to use an old-fashioned word, minister either to the person, minister to the situation, become a channel for that love by getting out of the way. But appeal first in all circumstances, if possible, to their people's better angels, to the good in people, and make that your basic modus operandi of how you relate. And I think that's the key to making the boots on the ground thing start to work.
something else that I'm noticing is when I'm not in that space, when I'm not feeling non-judgmental, when I'm not feeling all open-hearted and loving, sometimes just wishing I felt that way doesn't work. But what I have found does work is to tell the truth about how I'm feeling.
Confront.
I don't know
Yes.
what's going on with me right now, but I'm not feeling open-hearted, and I'm
Right.
feeling afraid, or I'm feeling like I don't want to talk to you, but I'm willing to talk to you because that isn't how I want to be. And what I find is when I do that, it kind of gives other people to go, oh wow, I'm not perfect either. I struggle with this or with that. And in that place we bond that we're doing the best we know how, and then all of a sudden I go, wow, I am doing the best I know how. Wow, you are doing the best you know how. And somehow that opens the heart and
Yeah.
raises the vibration.
One of the things that we really haven't focused on at all so far is the astronomical and astrological changes. We're actually shifting, we're crossing a line going into a different energy. I mean, we're in the photon belt now, more solidly in the photon belt, but we're shifting out of the dark energies to the lighter energies. And this is affecting not just Earth, but our entire solar system, our entire galaxy, and probably the entire cosmos. I mean, there's a different alignment. And the astrologers and the people that study these things and know a lot about these aspects say that this is going to create a very significant change. I watched I looked at Aristo Meni sent this book online today of the astrology of the Winter Solstice 2012, and I looked at some of the charts in there, and all of these alignments, and I'm not an astrologer, so I can't speak that language. But all of the aspects, how they are in each other's, and it's a very rare alignment. I mean, what we're coming up in only happens every 26,000 years or something like that. It's amazing, and we don't know how these new energies are going to impact humanity. That may be easier, as the 100th monkey thing, easier to open our hearts, easier to show compassion, easier to be more cooperative rather than competitive with each other. All of these things are going to affect the world tomorrow that we're creating today, and as we're dealing individually with the energies that are coming to us, it's affecting. When we allow those changes to affect us in a positive way, it ripples out and makes it easier for others to experience the same thing. So it is quantum. It is something that's going to just flow from one to the other, to the other, to the other. And I'd like it to happen yesterday too. I mean, I was really disappointed that things didn't happen the way I thought they were going to happen last year. I'm really disappointed that we had to wait another whole year.
I don't think we were ready, in my experience, for everything that we experienced this year.
No, we weren't ready last.
I don't personally.
So do you think there is a chance that there may be something that may appear to be catastrophic or life-threatening? Because we all know that people who go through near-death experiences or go through some tragedy usually come out on the other side with a new awakening, a new awareness of who they are. It's like a slap in the face or a kick in the butt. It's almost as if there's something you remember. You go, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to go back to that way of living again because I remember what it used to be like or whatever. So the question is, what is the probability of the collective consciousness creating something that may be shocking or rather devastating to mankind?
Well, I actually think that there almost has to be something that is so out of the ordinary that the powers that would like to continue to be wake up. Whatever that's going to be. I mean, I personally, and those of you that listen to the videos know that I don't want to leave anybody behind. My heart is big enough to allow everyone forgiveness and to come home and to be loved and to show love. I know I've heard lots of people say it'll never happen to some of these people. They're psychopaths or sociopaths. And we like to label, we like to put these labels on people. Maybe the catastrophic thing that happens is the labels disintegrate. And we stop labeling each other, and we are able to see with fresh eyes. What that's going to take, I don't know. I believe is the wrong word. When I've read some of David Wilcock's material and some of the other things, and they talk about evidence from the past, for example, mammoths, fast frozen with tropical plants in their mouth. Now, how does that happen? They're eating tropical plants and they're fast frozen. All of a sudden, it gets really cold, really fast. They have evidence of this. Anybody that studied this thing knows that what I'm saying, there's evidence of it.
Yeah.
And there are many visionaries that see something like that happening, where there is a quantum leap, where it's not a slow progressive thing, but there's something that triggers a quantum leap. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I wish I did. I would be so much more at ease if I knew the future, but that's not how it works. We don't. We have to live day by day, minute by minute in each day. We have to be in the now.
And the ego feels like it's a threatening thing to us, but yet in our higher self, we know that it's only there for the good to bring us to where we want to be.
Yes.
It's only on one of the densities or the dimensions that we operate in is with the ego. We operate on many others at the same time. Without it, we're just not aware of it. And another interesting thing that Ron was talking about in terms of cycles, there's many cycles coming together all at one time. The one that he's referring to is a 62 million year cycle that we're in the midst of right now. And that's the quantum leap one. Whereas he would like to call it Homo spiritus is the new species for man. Instead of from Homo sapien to Homo spiritus. Kind of nice.
Or Homo luminous.
Homo luminous, whatever.
Give it a name.
So on the one aspect, we might have been fed a bunch of hooey, white middle class hooey kind of stuff that Jerry is talking about.
Not too much.
Or yeah, maybe too much of it, and it's hard. It's hard to discern, I guess, in some cases, who you want to believe.
Will Nasara happen this year?
Maria, will Nasara happen this year?
There's another one of
I don't
those
know.
illusions.
I don't know.
I tell you what happened.
Does everybody know what Nassar is in this room?
I don't remember.
It didn't happen.
Nassar is a program that supposedly Bill Clinton signed before leaving office in October 2000. It's the National Economic Stability and Recovery Act, in which basically all government leaders must step down. There's an interim government appointed for 6 months. All debts are forgiven. In other words, it's a Jubilee year. And for those of you that don't know what Jubilee is a Hebrew, one of the Hebrew feast days where all debts were forgiven and all slaves were set free. And that was to happen every 50 years. That's very biblical. It's Old Testament. The Mayans also had something very similar, but for the Mayans it was every 52 years that they had their equivalent of the Jubilee. And this is one of the things that is supposed to happen with Nasara. Now, I've been waiting for 11 years plus for Nasara to happen, and I'm still waiting. Do I believe it's going to happen? I believe eventually something like that has to happen. There has to be a shift, because the thing that people are most afraid of in our world today is their own governments, their own structures of society that seem to be heartless, compassionless, and only self-centered, only in service to self. That has to change, and the shift has to be made somehow. You were talking about the tipping point. that tipping point, I believe we've already reached that tipping point.
That's what he says.
It's incontrovertible, we're moving in that direction. And it is in an acceleration mode. And it's going to be very, very fascinating to watch this happen. And I think that something like Nasara, and also the Republic, I'm not part of the Republic RUSA anymore. I did have a meeting with some of the people today that were involved. And none of us believe that that RUSA is going to ever materialize, but republics, if there's going to be government, the best form of government is a republic that protects the right of one. But it's a democratic republic that allows everybody to have a voice. So it's both republic and democracy, Republican and Democrat, which has nothing to do with the parties that are self-serving.
So to answer this, Ron, am I right that government itself is not what we're afraid of? It's the control or any authority over us that we are wanting to be freed from. We want a government that's going to support us. Is that right?
If our government followed its own laws, if the courts followed the laws that are established, and law of the land is the Constitution, if they honored the Bill of Rights and the rights that are in there's 27 rights in the Florida Constitution, but the original Florida Constitution, they took the 27th one out, which says all of these rights are guaranteed forever and cannot be amended, and any laws that pass are null and void if they contradict any of these rights. Well, they took that one out. That guaranteed all of the other 26 rights forever, and they put in one about marriage. About marriage is between a man and a woman.
There you go.
I mean, something that is totally inane, but they took out the meat of the whole Declaration of Rights in the Florida Constitution and changed it to something that doesn't matter, but it mattered. They make it matter for a lot of people.
That's what's wrong.
And we've got to get beyond that. Everybody has the right to self-determination.
But it's not the exterior as much as the interior of us knowing who we are. If we know who we are, then these things, nothing can control us, only serve us. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, but we also have to know our rights. And most people in this country, and I would venture to say it's probably true around the world, have not been educated even what their rights are. And if you don't know what your rights are, you don't have them.
But that's what I'm saying. This shift that we're going through is going to bring us into our awareness and show us who we are, so we take responsibility for ourselves and not let someone else do it for us. And therefore we're no longer victims, right?
Yeah.
This shift is about our awakening, and that whole paradigm will crumble.
Yeah, we have to move out of the victimhood thing, but we have to also address the victimizer thing, because we all, unfortunately, the collective conscious still envies the people at the top that have all the power and all the money and all the wealth, and they think that that's the model of success that we're chasing after. That's not success.
But I think that we give them that power because we're unaware of who we are. And then when we come through the awakening, it'll be obvious what's going on, and there will be no support for them. We don't have to point them out. It'll just be obvious to everyone once we awaken to who we are. And that's what I see is coming about.
Well, I think one of the examples of the problem, a very simple understanding of it, is what I call celebrity worship. You were talking about the people at the top and holding them in some kind of esteem. Worshipping movie stars, sports stars, political stars, worshipping other people outside of themselves. Now, am I saying that people who excel at their sport or their art or in the theater don't deserve to be appreciated? No, I'm not saying that. They need to be honored and appreciated for their expertise, for their accomplishments. Where I draw the line is this awe. This tabloid mentality that everything that some starlet supposedly does, or some sports star supposedly does, entangles people in the minutia of what these people do. It's just taking their attention away. It's a distraction. It's taking them away from the realization that it does not matter one bit what these people do. But it matters a great deal about what you do.
That's right. We only do that to them and to ourselves because we don't know who we are. We don't know what we possess.
Well, it's a form of escapism. Though Eric Fromm, in his book The Art of Loving, basically talks about pseudo-love in any number of ways. And of course, this worshiping of something outside of yourself in lieu of loving yourself is pseudo-love. It's not truly love. And it's used by those people in power, those people who want to control us, use this propensity on the part of spiritually bankrupt people who are not finding true meaning within themselves, who've been conditioned to find meaning outside themselves in what they own, in their influence on other people, where status and class matter so much that it's easy to manipulate these people because you know what their weakness is and you can appeal to it. And the powers that be, and I'm not going to point at any particular class of people or group of people, but we all have our ideas about who they are. Everybody talks about they. I'll talk about they. They know that. And that's how they use us and manipulate us. And that's precisely what you're talking about. We've got to stop giving away our power to them. We have got to take our power back by knowing what our rights are and our responsibilities are. And to put our boots on the ground and to start living that way for real. Not at this pretend fairy tale life of a consumerist America, but the very real life, a life of love, an existential love that's real, that's not an illusion.
Very good.
How are we on time, Steve?
8 minutes.
Wow, we have filled up that much of an hour, huh? Surprising.
Boy.
How much would the Galactic Federation have to do with the shift in consciousness here on planet Earth?
Ooh, that's a big question. We did have an ET that was going to be here tonight, but his face got a little hot, and so he decided not to be on camera. But the Galactic Federation, or the extraterrestrial presence,
Star Trek.
I
Sorry, folks.
I mean,
it's just Star Trek. And there isn't anything that I've read on it online that isn't, you can't go back to one of the Star Trek episodes and find it in Star Trek. It's just one more of our little American middle class illusions and fantasies. Sorry. I don't know. Do I believe in extraterrestrial life? Absolutely. Do I believe that maybe there is the remote chance that we were contacted by extraterrestrial life in the past? Probably, certainly. There seems to be so much evidence that there is some kind of intervention. Are they hovering up there in invisible spaceships waiting to come down and help us implement the New Age? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's Jerry's point of view.
That's my opinion. There's a lot of people out there that will be offended from what I have just said, and I apologize. But I see it all as part of what I call the techno-mythos. And it's part of our hyperculture, and it's part of what we are using to exploit people, and I've done quite a bit of writing on it. If anyone wants to hear about my ideas on the techno-mythos and how it's used to exploit us, I would be happy to share it with you.
But they know that there is free will, and we are the biggest theater show in the universe right now. And they are watching us like crazy right now, because with front row seats, because they want to see which way we're going to go. And they are watching us like crazy right now. Many different galactic species.
What's in it for them? What's in it for them? Why would they do this?
Because the universe...
They care, and we are all a part of them. And they are in a higher place. They're way evolved spiritually and in technology. But they do believe in free will, and they don't want to interfere, but they also care and love us, and we're all connected. And they are our brothers and sisters.
I think that our media, you talked about Star Trek and that, our
Absolutely.
media actually, we can look at it as fiction, but there's been an awful lot of fiction or science fiction that ended up becoming reality afterwards. And they're actually revealing a lot more to us in the science fiction thing. They do it in that genre but they're revealing something that has a basis in fact, has a basis in reality. At least that's my perspective. I'm not going to argue with Jerry because that's
It's all about the money.
We've had our heated discussions on more than one occasion, and that's perfectly fine. We love each other, and we're allowed to have different perspectives. But I do believe that that there will be an extraterrestrial cooperation in helping us bring about technologies that are they've already given us technologies. Our entire space program is of extraterrestrial origin. Teflon and so many other things that have come down to us as things now, they came to us from the extraterrestrial cooperation between our government that keeps all that stuff to themselves, and our government is so far ahead. I mean, if we knew the stuff that the black operations have going on, I mean, they are so far ahead of what we, the general public, are made aware of.
I believe that.
And they have technologies already. They have colonies on Mars. Laura Eisenhower talks freely about they wanted to get her to go to Mars, to live on the colony on the backside of Mars. And there's colonies on the moon. People that don't know about this may say, well, that's crazy, that's crazy. No, we live in a universe that has always been a lot different than what we've taught. We have had a very limited perspective of what reality is. And that's been on purpose because when we don't know who we are, when we don't know the truth about life itself and about how vast the universe is and about all of the possibilities and potentialities, we can be more easily controlled. And the whole game on this planet has been one of controlling the masses. Unfortunately, that's been our history, but that's not our future. Our future is changing, and that's what this Winter Solstice 2012 is all about. It's about changing our attitude, changing our perspective, and moving into a new reality. And I got the message that it's 3 minutes and counting down. Does anybody else want to say anything in closing? Margie does.
Yes, I want to say that all these ideas are wonderful and we can debate them to death, but if you would like a real experience of just being in connection and in love, then come to Ron's next Wednesday night.
Another
Going to do a love line.
Love line, yay, we need another love line.
Just a love experience.
Pure and simple.
We had 22 people at the last love
Wow.
line, and which was the first Wednesday of the month, and we've never done 2 in a month before, but we decided a love line would be the perfect way to leave 2012 behind us. And so that's going to happen the day after Christmas, I believe, the 26th. There will be a love line here next week, and of course those of you that are watching this on video, unless you're local, will not be able to join us. I know a lot of you would like to in spirit.
Yes.
I get those emails, but I thank you for being here. I thank you for listening. Steve, thank you for videoing this, and we're done. Thank you.
See you in 2012 or
Namaste.
2013.
See you next year.
Namaste.
Okay.
Namaste.